to the point when you eat something in your waking day, you're going to wonder why you've never tasted it like this before, because your senses are heightened now in the 3D reality. And that's what we want. We want to experience more of it and more connection to it. And I'm your host, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let's begin. As I said when we were talking about the virtual world, this is the plane of demonstration. In order for us in the three-dimensional world to have a thought of something that we want to experience and having that experience, it's going to take time. And if it's a big experience like buying a new house or getting a new whatever, it's just going to take time and energy to be able to create it. And so that kind of distance between cause and effect, between the thought and the experience, it takes time. And so if we're creating from outside the virtual reality headset, and you're truly in the act of creating, if we don't step towards our future in some way, in the act of doing, then for many people, it means, Max, that they don't believe it's going to happen, or they don't believe in themselves. And so that doesn't mean you go out and max out your credit cards because you tuned into being wealthy one time. That's not pragmatic in any way. But if you're truly interested in creating the career that you want, and you know exactly what you want in your career and who you want to be in that career, and you've studied it and you know it and you've practiced it and you've become that person, then you'd have to take steps to get the exact job that you want. So yes, you go on with your intention of creating that job, and you go on matter to matter in the way that we do. But in some way, in some shape, in some form, if we're doing this enough, when you start seeing the synchronicities, you know then that you keep doing what you're doing, and you do it with more intention. And then the synchronicities get even greater, or you start getting the opportunities or the calls or the emails or whatever it is that's coming. And it makes sense then that you're getting closer to that experience even more. So for me personally, I always think about stepping outside of this world into another world. And what I remember more than anything else, that if I'm truly in this world of thought, and thought is connected to the experience of that thought, if I could experience the thought and fully emotionally embrace what that experience would be like, then in the quantum, I'm shortening the distance between cause and effect, between the thought and the experience, because I'm experiencing the frequency of that thought the moment I have that thought, which means then if I can do that properly, different than the person who says, I have the thought, and they open their eyes and it isn't there, or they open their eyes and they know they got to go to work to get it. That person is having a different experience, which says I'm having the thought, but I'm going to wait for the experience to happen in order to feel the emotion. That's the illusion, right? We're experiencing the frequency of the thought or the emotion of that experience in the realm of the quantum. And the closer you can have the thought and feel the feeling of the experience, the more you're experiencing that reality in a realm outside of the virtual world. If we do that properly, then we start to bring events towards us. We're creating from energy and frequency. We're connected to source. We no longer have to go anywhere. There's a change in our energy. There's a change in our awareness. There's a change in the way we think and feel. And our biology begins to reflect like the experience has already happened. It's when we start feeling like the experience has already happened with our eyes open. We're no longer separate from it. We're no longer looking for when it's going to happen or where it's going to happen. On some level, we forget during our waking day to look for it because we're feeling like it's already happened. Then we start to see more direct feedback that happens in our life. So the things we do is we do the work. We sharpen our skill from that realm beyond space and time. And at the same time, we open our eyes and we're living as that person, still going to work, still paying bills, still feeding your family, still doing all the things that you do. But in some way, shape, or form, we're out of phase with that reality now, where our attention now is on a different reality. And while we're in that world and we're doing all the things that we're doing, by the same means, if it's something that we want to experience in the 3D world, we make choices to move towards that experience. And that means we believe in some level we're bringing our body into that future. So it's a delicate balance between the two. And when we step into the 3D world, we still have to make choices and make those choices on some measure towards that future. And like I said, with the example of the career, it doesn't mean you don't look for a job. Of course, you look for a job, but at the same time, you're creating the exact job that you want. Your curiosity in seeing if you actually decided to create this wonderful movement of energy by doing the breath to your brain, you were actually just curiously saying, okay, I'm going to practice doing this. I'm going to continue to do my meditations. And as you begin to practice slowing your brain waves down in meditation, some people do it a little bit more naturally than others, or a little easier than others. They just don't analyze and think as much as some of us. And so by doing that properly, activating through the breath, that pineal gland, that gland that has tiny crystals that pick up electromagnetism, different species like a chameleon picks up infrared or visible light frequencies and they change their skin pigments. Homing pigeons have those same crystals and they can navigate by knowing what true north is. And so we have the same crystals in our brain that pick up electromagnetic spectrums and frequencies. And it ranges all the way from slow waves to very fast waves. And so as the pineal gland becomes activated by you doing the breath, by you slowing down your brain waves, by you becoming more suggestible to information, be able to linger in a slower brainwave pattern like theta, you're in the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And boy, you open the door for different information. If the pineal gland starts picking up frequencies, right, that are different from frequencies that are coming from the wavelength of visible light through our eye, but our eyes are closed, we're not in the virtual world anymore, and we're tuning into energy and frequency. As the pineal gland begins to pick up different frequencies that are vibrating faster than matter, beyond the senses, then it makes sense then that it's got to make different chemistry, because serotonin and melatonin are pretty much a function of this environment that we're perceiving. That being said, when the frequency that the pineal gland's picking up is a different frequency, a faster frequency than the wavelength of light, melatonin can't be melatonin any longer. It's got to be something other than melatonin. It's a different frequency and it's going to cause a different chemistry. So when that occurs, the rush of the chemistry into the brain is now being caused by a frequency that's carrying different information, and your dreams become more lucid and the dreams become more real. And sometimes the frequency that it's picking up may take a little time for the effect to take place in chemistry. Now, that's not good or bad. It's just the way your nervous system is processing the information. I wouldn't judge it or try to change it in any way. I'd keep doing what you're doing. And you've learned how, Shayna, to open that door between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, just like I was talking about, and being able to interact with information from the field. And the side effect of that is really a change in chemistry. Not only just having chemicals that make more lucid dreams, but you have chemicals that will begin to change your biology in profound ways. It'll cause you to become more calm. Melatonin already is a natural relaxant, but now you're going to get really relaxed. You're going to make some chemicals in your brain that suppress the survival centers in the limbic brain, and you're going to make more powerful antioxidants. Melatonin is already an antioxidant, but your interaction with the field is going to make better antioxidants that are going to deal with cancer cells or heart condition diseases and microbes and inflammation and anti-aging and all those things. The melatonin now is upgraded, and it's going to really, for the most part, move your body into a state of hibernation. And during that time, you're not going to be hungry while you're doing your meditation. Hibernation is no sex drive, no appetite, no preoccupation with the outer environment. And so that suppresses those survival systems as well. And the brain is going to be able to process greater frequencies and energies. That's the same chemical that's found in electric eels. So when that occurs and the autonomic nervous system is aroused, you will feel it very sensory in your body. I know that feeling. And I have had those feelings in a very lucid moment. And I knew on some level that my body was being healed. And I thought to myself, I'm not even sick. But I knew on some level it was some kind of interaction for greater wholeness, or something was being eliminated. So your experience with energy and frequency is going to be physical as well. And you'll still be able to be in a light sleep state while it's occurring. And that's when it gets really good, when you start feeling it and sense it sensation-wise in your body, instead of letting it arouse you too much or cause you to feel fearful or whatever. What a lot of people do, they lose it. But if it happens enough times, you keep relaxing into it, it keeps getting better, right? So it will be a sensation. And I never ever try to control or predict when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. I really try to do just the opposite. I just think I'm creating reality. That's what I think. And I think that I'm opening a channel for information. Now, if your brain is picking up frequencies that are just about to turn to matter, you will be precognitive, because it's the last frequency before it turns into an experience. And when you learn how to slow down your neocortex and tune in, yeah, you will have premonitions. You'll know things. It happens to me all the time. I don't really say anything, but it's something that I want to have. And you'll know things that'll happen now or in the future or whatever. And that's cool. I think that's information. So many people in this work, when they open their heart, they say, I'm just way more intuitive. I just know more things. I can sense things better. Well, that's information you're picking up. So these are all the side effects of doing things very well in your meditations. And my recommendation is to keep going and to keep practicing and to keep being curious and keep doing that breath, because you're dinging that little radio receiver in the back of your brain and activating those crystals. And as you compress those crystals, as you understood in your week long, you begin to create that compression that begins to polarize the crystals in the brain that creates an external field. And so you're activating that field very well. And that's how that field begins to interact with energy. So keep practicing and keep going, because I can promise you they'll get more lucid. You'll have more profound sensations, to the point when you eat something in your waking day, you're going to wonder why you've never tasted it like this before, because your senses are heightened now in the 3D reality. And that's what we want. We want to experience more of it and more connection to it and a more unifying experience that feels like it all makes sense or it all somehow is connected. That's where we're going in this work. So you're headed in the right direction. My recommendation is to keep going.